was just a swim. A warm summer day, clear water, and nothing that looked dangerous. But sometimes, the most dangerous things in nature are the things you cannot see. Because beneath that peaceful surface, something microscopic was living. An organism so small that millions of them could exist without you ever noticing. And in a rare set of circumstances, it can travel from the water to the human brain. Its name is Naegleria Fowleri. And this is the story of what happened at Lake Claiborne. August 19th, 2026. The Louisiana Department of Health issued a warning that immediately drew attention. A Louisiana resident had been diagnosed with an infection caused by Naegleria Fowleri, and health officials said the infection was most likely acquired while swimming in Lake Claiborne. For most people, Lake Claiborne is simply a place to swim, to cool down, to spend a summer day. But this time, something had gone terribly wrong. The organism responsible wasn't visible in the water. It wasn't waiting like a predator. It wasn't looking for a victim. It was simply there, living in its microscopic world. And somehow, a chain of extraordinarily rare events had brought that organism into a human body. So what exactly happened? And how can a microscopic amoeba go from ordinary freshwater to the human brain? To understand the Lake Claiborne case, we first need to meet the organism at the center of it all. Naegleria Fowleri is a microscopic, free-living amoeba. It naturally lives in warm, freshwater environments, and most of the time it causes no problem at all. But under a very specific set of circumstances, this ordinary-looking organism can become something far more dangerous. And the first clue is where it enters the human body. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Naegleria fowleri does not normally infect people by being swallowed. It also doesn't enter the body through intact skin. The unusual route is through the nose. When contaminated freshwater is forced high into the nasal passages. From there, in extremely rare circumstances, the organism can move along the olfactory pathway toward the brain. And that is where this infection becomes so dangerous. Primary amebic meningoencephalitis, or PAM, is the disease caused by this infection. And it is extremely rare. But when it does occur, the illness can progress rapidly. The organism triggers severe inflammation and damage within the brain, and the symptoms can begin deceptively like many other serious infections. Fever, headache, nausea, and vomiting. Then, as the disease progresses, confusion, hallucinations, seizures, and loss of consciousness can develop. This is why early recognition is so difficult and so important. So how do doctors know when they're dealing with Naegleria fowleri? The first clue is often the combination of symptoms and a recent history of exposure to warm, fresh water. But confirming the infection is much more difficult because PAM can look like other forms of meningitis or encephalitis, and the organism is not something doctors can identify from symptoms alone. So doctors have to look beyond the symptoms. They consider the patient's recent exposure to warm, fresh water, how quickly the illness developed, and how the symptoms are progressing. But when primary amoebic meningoencephalitis is suspected, doctors need laboratory evidence. A sample of cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF, can be examined for signs of the infection. And specialized laboratory tests can be used to detect Naegleria Fowleri itself. The challenge is that PAM is so rare that recognizing it early requires doctors to connect the clinical picture with the right exposure history and laboratory testing. Because with this infection, every hour matters. Once PAM is suspected, treatment cannot wait. Doctors may use multiple medicines in an attempt to attack the infection, including drugs such as amphotericin B and miltefosine. But there is no single guaranteed cure. Treatment is aggressive, supportive, and often started while doctors are still fighting to confirm exactly what is happening. And despite these efforts, survival remains exceptionally rare. Which is why early recognition and starting treatment as quickly as possible can matter so much. So, what can you actually do to reduce the risk? First, when swimming in warm, fresh water, try to keep the water out of your nose. Second, avoid jumping, diving, or stirring up sediment in shallow, warm, fresh water when conditions may be risky. Third, if you use fresh water for nasal rinsing, such as with a neti pot, use distilled, sterile, or appropriately treated water, not untreated tap or fresh water. Fourth, follow local health warnings and avoid swimming in areas where officials have advised against water contact. And fifth, remember that you don't need to fear every swim. Naegleria Fowleri infections are extremely rare. The goal isn't to stay away from water, it's to keep the water where it belongs, out of your nose.
Want to dive deeper into the amazing world of microbes? Then join our community and become a member today. And don't forget to check out our new microbiology study app.
So, coming back to Lake Claiborne, this was not a story about a dangerous lake suddenly becoming a threat to everyone. Health officials said the infection was most likely acquired while swimming in Lake Claiborne. The important detail was the route of exposure: water entering the nose. And this is where perspective matters. Naegleria Fowleri infections are extremely rare. Millions of people swim every year without developing this infection. You don't need to live in fear of fresh water, but you can make simple choices to reduce exposure. Keep water out of your nose, follow local health warnings, and use safe water for nasal rinsing. The lesson isn't to fear the water, it's to understand it. Because sometimes the smallest risks deserve the clearest precautions.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, press the bell icon button. Thank you.